It's day 16 of our journey through the Bible. I want to thank you for joining me and pray that really you're being blessed by your time in the Word of God and that this time together has been useful to you. Today we turn back to Genesis and we start in chapter 12, read chapters 12 through 15. And here's the thing that has been set up perfectly is that in our study reading Job, the question that has to come to mind is, how can a person be right before God? Because Job says, hey, I've done everything right. And his friends are saying, no, you couldn't have done everything right. And so they go back and forth. And when we get back to Genesis and we begin reading about the life of Abram, who's later going to be called Abraham, then it becomes very clear. And it's not what we would typically think. We think sometimes it's about all of these rules. You got to keep all these things, do all these things, and don't do all those things. And as God is revealing himself, he's letting people know who he is and how he works and what's important to him. You come to the life of Abram, and God starts with giving him a promise. But the promise is couched in calling Abraham to do some things that first seem impossible. You're going to be the father of a great nation. And Abram is 75 years old and has no kids. And I can imagine him going, wait a second, God, that's not me. Surely you mean somebody else? And I love the way he says it. I'm an old man and my wife is advanced in years. Just a lesson for all you husbands, never call your wife old. But he says, I don't even know if that's possible. He calls him to do something really difficult. Leave your family and friends and the place you know and go to a place I'm going to show you. It doesn't even tell him where he's going. He just says, I want you to go and I'll tell you when to stop. And then he gives him a promise. Through you, all the families of the earth are going to be blessed. And I could see myself, if I was there, really struggling to make the decision, really struggling to let God be God and do what he said, but not Abram. He gets up and goes. And as you watch Abram, he is an example, a living, real-life example of what it means to live in a way that pleases God. And it's all summarized in chapter 15. God has told him, hey, I'm your great reward. I'm a shield to you. And Abram, maybe he's frustrated. He says, God, that's really cool, but what I really want is a descendant. I don't have any kids. And he says, go outside, look at the stars. You're going to have more descendants than the stars of the heavens. And Genesis 15:6 says something that you might miss if you're reading quickly, if you haven't read the rest of the story. But this is something that's repeated throughout the rest of the scriptures. Abram believed God, and God, accounted or reckoned it to him as righteousness. It's not that Abram did something huge, and we think that it's about us doing magnificent things or getting everything right. The key to being right before God is to believe him, and to believe him in such a way that we actually put our full weight, our trust in him, that we actually say, okay, you're God, and I'll do it. I'll do it when it doesn't make sense. I'll do it when it's hard. I'll do it when I don't know how it's going to work out. I will trust you. And that's the key to being righteous. And so Abraham, is a great example and encouragement for us to walk by faith. And one of the other things you see, and you see it so early, is he doesn't do it perfectly. He almost immediately goes out and says, oh, no, that's my sister, because he's scared. And so there's always this struggle between faith and fear. And today the choice is yours. Will you walk by faith, or will you let fear cause you to back up? Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.